Welcome back to Around the SEC. We are back for 2025. This year I am joined by Brooks Crew right over here. He's a good friend of mine. We work together, so hopefully you guys will enjoy listening to him talk ball as well. But I'm excited to get this back going for this season. Had a lot of fun last year, and hopefully it will only continue this season because so far we've got a very entertaining SEC, don't we, Brooks?
Yeah, that's absolutely no joke this year in the SEC. It feels like everything you would have expected kind of seems to have gone the other way. You know, where it's like Texas came into the season as your consensus top 3 with the Heisman favorite, and now it's maybe they finish and maybe they get a playoff run. Arch Manning is looking kind of like a disappointment. Like, who really knows what's going to happen? And then Auburn, for all their preseason hype, which I feel like every year Auburn has a lot of preseason hype, seems to have kind of collapsed as real SEC play has begun. So
the preseason hype has been let through by the offensive line and his sack Jackson arm.
It's exactly right. Yeah, Xavier Chaplin's somewhere playing linebacker or something, and I'm using that. That's fantastic.
It's been an issue for sure, but we're going to get into it with the Week 5 recap, go over the biggest games from the conference in last week. So if you're looking for an in-depth breakdown of Missouri, UMass, no. We're starting off with Alabama at Georgia. Number 17 Alabama at number 5 Georgia. Alabama wins this game 24-21. And Brooks, what stood out to me is Ty Simpson really looks legit. This is a guy that I was not sold on at the start of the year because he didn't have a ton of tape, and what he did in college was not great to that point. But he has stayed there. He has developed. I respect that he didn't transfer, and he looks like a field general now. You watch him on those 2 scoring drives versus Georgia and just controlling things at the line of scrimmage. Check, double check. We're back into this play. We're into this now. Quick decision. Balls out. He just looked great. 24 of 38, 276, 2 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown against Georgia.
And I think part of what makes a quarterback such a great field general is Alabama's really good at establishing the run. Sometimes they're establishing the run through, their right tackle, but they do establish the run pretty well. 3.1 yards a carry is a great foundation for absolutely any quarterback who's wanted to pass the ball effectively. And I think that really benefits a guy like Ty Simpson. And also, can we just talk about how no matter what the circumstances are, Alabama just seems to have Kirby Smart's number?
Yeah, they do. And it's concerning, too, because if you look at Kirby Smart, you're thinking, oh, maybe we had a Nick Saban problem. Then Saban leaves. You lose to Alabama 2 years in a row, and you're thinking, well, do we just have an Alabama problem now? And Kalen DeBoer, that staff is frequently out-coaching Georgia staff on game day, which I think is uncomfortable if you're a Georgia fan because you're not used to that kind of thing happening. And you mentioned Alabama's ability to establish the run. What I like about Alabama is they don't do it conventionally. It's not between the tackles. It's swing passes. It's short screens. So you're establishing this kind of short yardage play, but it's not, oh, we're just running it up the middle every time. And I think that's good imagination for the offense for Kalen DeBoer. I like what they're doing that way.
Yeah, definitely. People who were calling for his, firing after the lackluster performance in week 1, I think has some other thoughts now for sure. And just that Alabama team, like, seriously, week 1, I think a lot of us thought that the dominance was over, that the dynasty was over. And maybe the dynasty is, but the dominance is far from gone. I mean, you take down a team like Georgia, you're looking at the rest of their schedule, they could be set up pretty well for a playoff run. And that's a little scary for me sitting in an Auburn studio, but it's scary.
I'm definitely excited to see what they do the rest of the year. As for Georgia, I think the run game is great. You average 6.9 per carry, 4.5 still without the 2 40-plus yard runs. So
that's impressive.
You know the run game is going to be there. It's just, can you get Gunnar Stockton to be more the guy we saw in the Tennessee game? I think you want that going forward. He struggled a little bit to really just be a pure pocket passer so far. I think he's better kind of improvising. We'll see if Georgia schemes to let him do that moving forward. And then my big question from this game is,
about to ask,
why do you not tie it on that field goal?
Micah, I wish I could tell you. I really do wish I could tell you. Maybe it's pride. Maybe it's we're not losing to a team that lost to FSU. We want to go make a statement. Kirby Smart has always been kind of more on the overconfident side as far as coaches go, I feel like, especially, coming up under a guy like Nick Saban, and maybe he wanted to stick it to Saban's replacement. I don't think it was smart football. I don't think it was the correct decision by any stretch, but I can kind of see mentally where it was coming from. But boy, was it not the right decision.
No,
Did not pay off.
It definitely was not. And then one final thing from this game. I think the thing that, if you would have told me this, I would have been shocked to hear that this is the stat. this game was the first time ever under Kalen DeBoer that an Alabama team was less penalized than their opponent, and it comes in a night game at Sanford Stadium.
Especially for a team that was being hailed as such a lazy, lackluster, not really caring. I think it was Orvalowski who counted something like 17 or 18 loafs, or just plays where players weren't really trying in that FSU game. It's really inspiring, maybe a little bit dejectedly so as an Auburn fan, but to see how Kalen DeBoer has been taking that team that kind of didn't really care in that FSU game and turn them into a disciplined team that, I think Nick Saban would be pretty proud of.
Yeah, the offense definitely looks solid right now. This defense is playing extremely well too, and I think it's going to be a great game when Vandy comes to town.
I'm excited.
This weekend. But moving on to our next game here, it's number 13 Ole Miss defending home turf against number 4. How were they number 4? LSU, 24-19. And before we talk about Trinidad and Tobago, that is the elite quarterback for Ole Miss right now, Trinidad Chambliss. He is amazing. But for LSU, you already can't run the ball. You can't run the ball at all. You played Clemson week 1, and that got you shuttered to number 4. Guess what? Clemson's terrible.
They're awful.
That doesn't matter at all. The fact that you're still number 4, you can't run the ball. Then you're missing Caden Durham, who's the only reason you can even kind of run the ball sometimes. And then people expect you to go in and beat Ole Miss when Lane Kiffin can just take a random guy from Ferris State and be like, oh, this is a Heisman contender now. You never stood a chance. I have no idea why LSU fans thought they were going to go into Oxford and win this game with no contest. All you look at the number next to your name, because you can't run the ball. Your defense has been good, but Nussmeier doesn't look 100%. It looks like he's very obviously not playing to what he can be. The arm strength looks off. I don't know if he's still dealing with some kind of injury, but he doesn't look right. You can't run the ball. You're 2 of 11 on third down, and your last 2 games, or not last 2 games, but you were 4 of 14 on third down versus Florida and 4 of 11 versus Clemson. You can't convert a third down to save your life, and it's because you can't run the ball to set up third and manageable. So I think this might be the first of a trend for LSU. I don't think you continue winning these big games the rest of this year, because if you're one-dimensional in this conference, when you go up against the Alabamas, the Georgias, the Ole Misses of this conference, you're not going to win anything, and they haven't.
Mike, I really think you should stop holding back and tell us how you really feel. But I definitely agree. I think a team like LSU being at number 4, and we'll talk about some non-SEC teams, I'm sure, that are ranked that possibly realistically shouldn't be.
BYU.
Yeah, but it's just kind of further proof that AP votes don't mean anything.
Yeah.
You could be number 2, number 1 in the country, no matter what what week of the season that it is, and it just doesn't matter. Like you said, Kiffin just pulls some dude from some random school and is like, you're a Heisman candidate now. This is how this works. He just decided that. And you know what? It's working for him. I mean, Trinidad's in my top 5 quarterbacks of the week, which we'll get into here in a little bit.
And how embarrassing is that to the Billy Napiers and Sarkisians and Hugh Freezes of the world, who have these brought-in quarterback talents, who have all this hype around him, and they can't do anything. And then here's Lane Kiffin I found a guy at Ferris State.
It's ridiculous, dude.
We're gonna bring him in for depth. Oh, our starting quarterback. Oh, he's a Heisman contender now.
Yeah, we'll just might as well, right?
It's crazy.
I mean, if you can make a Heisman candidate, I don't see why you wouldn't.
Exactly.
Also,
why don't more people simply make Heisman candidates?
It'd be so easy. I think Hugh Freeze should just simply make Jackson Arnold a Heisman candidate. I'd be real happy for that. Yeah, I don't really know what was going on. There was a lot of headlines of kind of some off-field stuff going on and going into that game.
The Whit Week stuff was
the best thing I heard was that Lane sent his daughter to download the plays off of Whit's iPad. And he was like, yeah, Ole Miss just really seemed to know everything that LSU was going to do. It was like, well, at this point, I wouldn't doubt it from Lane, and I would love to hear if it actually did happen.
Yeah, definitely. But this game, I still would say, is very entertaining, although should not have been this close. Should not have been a 5-point game.
No.
Before we move on from this game, the Trinidad Chambliss stat line, 23 of 39, 314 touchdown picks, 71 yards rushing. You'll take that all day long. Now, moving on to the game in Starkville this past weekend. Number 15, Tennessee, traveling down to play the somehow still unranked Mississippi State Bulldogs.
It's so brutal.
And 2 defensive touchdowns later, they squeak out a 41-34 win in overtime. Mississippi State, I think, could and should have won this game. Colton Hood with the pick 6 for Tennessee. Joshua Joseph had the scoop and score. Joey Aguilar threw 2 picks in this one. This is a game, I think, if you're Mississippi State, you're going to be thinking, well, that one got away. Yeah,
Mississippi State, it's a team that I said it to you the other day. in my heart of hearts, believe that they are just so firmly underrated, but they've just still yet to really do anything to prove that. Where it's like they so clearly have all the pieces, all the coaching, everything they need to be a top 15 team, top 10 team even. But it's stuff like this. I mean, you talk about their defense solid the entire game, but just fell apart when it mattered in overtime. And I feel like that's the kind of stuff that keeps you out of the rankings, unfortunately. And if Mississippi State was ranked this week, I don't think they would be after that loss.
Yeah, if I was making a top 25, I would say Mississippi State, Arizona State, and TCU would all be in it right now. But
yeah, we had that talk.
Only one of those teams is ranked, and it's somehow Arizona State, even though Mississippi State beat them. So
yeah,
the AP poll, again, is interesting to say the least. But Fluff Bothwell continues to play great for Mississippi State. 23 carries, 134, 2 touchdowns. And when Blake Shapen can go out there and throw for just under 200 and you still should have beat a team like Tennessee, that's, I think, all you need to know about the state of this run game right now. Bothwell's been very good so far this year, and I have him on the all-name team as well.
Yeah, that Fluff Bothwell is got to be up there. Like, is Fluff his actual name, or does he go by Fluff?
Know.
Is it like a Tank Bigsby where their name just isn't Tank, but they go by it? That's such a great...
I would bet that his real name isn't Fluff, but you never know.
We're looking this up right now.
All right. Well, Brooks looks that up. I'm going to
Demarion Fluff Bothwell.
Demarion Fluff Bothwell.
I told you it was a Tank Bigsby situation.
All right. So we do have a nickname, but the nickname is still absolutely elite.
Incredible. If he better go by Fluff. Even if he doesn't make it to the pros and he's like selling insurance somewhere, I would buy my insurance from Fluff Bothwell.
Start like a pillow business,
dude. My Pillow would make so much money with an NIL deal to Fluff Bothwell.
Yeah.
It'd be incredible.
All right, we're getting kind of off track here. Let's
just a little
bring it back in. Tennessee did have 200-plus yard receivers in this one. Mike Matthews, Chris Brazzell both continue to play extremely well. Mike Matthews' breakout year, I think, is really upon us so far. But Tennessee, we'll talk about them in the conference power rankings later. They're an interesting team that I'm not entirely sure where to put them right now. But like I said, we'll talk on that a little bit more in a bit. Next up, it's the one that I was at this weekend. I was in College Station. Number 9, Texas A&M, beating Auburn 16-10, and someone locate the Auburn offense because it is nowhere to be found the last 2 weeks. 14 penalties on just the offensive line in the last 2 weeks. You've allowed 14 sacks in the last 2 weeks. Jackson Arnold's getting killed back there, and part of it's because he's doing his best impression of a tree in the pocket. Really struggling back there. You're not handing the ball off. Jeremiah Cobb and Damari Alston combined over the last 2 games have 21 carries. At Auburn, your starting running back, if he's as good as these guys are, should be getting 21 carries.
Yeah, it's a scary trend. I mean, you talk about a guy like Hugh Freeze, who's supposed to be such an offensive-minded head coach, has had such talent on his roster, but it's like last year he didn't utilize Jarquez like we think he should have. This year he's not utilizing guys like Jeremiah Cobb and Damari Alston, and I understand that both of them have had their fair share of injuries, but they're minor, and they don't constitute running the ball. What was it, twice in the first quarter, and it was in like the last minute?
Actually, an Auburn running back did not get a carry in the first quarter.
Oh, that's right, because it was that end around to Singleton, wasn't it? Yeah, there's no excuse for that, I feel like, as a coach that wants to establish. Like I talked about with Alabama, you establish the running game. However, unconventionally, the passing game follows.
Especially if your offensive line is consistently struggling to hold up in pass protection and committing penalties, trying to set for pass protection. You know how you take the pressure off? You run the ball.
They're in too high the entire game.
And you look at the Baylor game. I know these defenses are better than the Baylor defense by far, but still, when you run the ball, when you try to run the ball, your running backs have been highly effective. You talked about Jarquez last season. Hugh refused to run the ball all year with Jarquez. In the one game, he's like, okay, we're going to give it to Jarquez. He goes for 273 on Kentucky.
And won, like, SEC Offensive Player of the Week just because he actually was utilized.
You have talent. Use the talent. This is why the Auburn fans are frustrated, is because there is talent on this team, and it's not getting utilized correctly, and you're wasting what is possibly a top 10 defense in college football so far this year.
Not to mention a couple of top, I would say first or second round receivers.
Yeah.
And you could even make the argument that our running backs could go second or third round as well. Like, we have so much.
I think the running backs are day 3 picks as of right now.
Well, as of right now, because they ain't getting used. I'm saying if they're getting used effectively.
Just for player evaluation, though, I'd day 3 picks.
Okay. But my point being, we have a lot of NFL caliber talent on our roster that's just not getting the chance to shine through because we can't get anything going on offense. And when we get to Hugh Freeze emphasized last week that he wanted manageable third downs, especially after that Oklahoma game.
He also said he wanted to commit to running the ball after the Oklahoma game.
Well, he said it this week too. Do you think he'll do it against Georgia?
Great question. We'll have to find out.
Yeah, right. But my point being, like, I saw a stat. You've probably seen it too, and a lot of the viewers at home probably have also seen this. If Auburn had spiked the ball on first and second down on every single drive, we would have had a better average third down to go. That's not a shorter third down. I don't know. 11.3 is a bigger number than 10 last I checked. I'm a journalism major, so I'm not good at math, but I just, you run the ball for 3 yards, 2nd and 7. Xavier Chaplin jumps, you get a false start. You're back to 2nd and 12. You run the ball again, you're at 3rd and 9. That's better than it was.
Yeah.
It's not good.
It's just a disaster for the Auburn offense right now. And the defense has played well, but did get gashed a little bit on the ground versus A&M.
Yeah.
Le'Veon Moss, 139 yards and a touchdown. Their backup, too, whose name escapes me right now, Reuben Owens.
Yeah.
Reuben Owens looked very good, too. I believe averaged like 17 yards a carry or something ridiculous on just 3 carries. Then Casey Concepcion had 113 receiving yards of Marcel Reed's 207.
Yeah. Casey Concepcion, I have never seen a receiver break so many tackles in a game.
Yeah, he's great.
That dude looked like he was looking for contact just so we could put somebody on the ground. And that's we've got probably, I would argue, a top 5 defense in the SEC, if not a top 3. And he was making us look small, like genuinely. And then you talk about the defense not being able to stop the run game. I think A&M ran it down our throats, or Auburn's throats. I probably shouldn't say our, but A&M ran it down Auburn's throats, and because we were like, the Auburn defense was on the field for the majority of the game. What was it? 35 minutes to 25 time of possession. It's really hard. Yeah, when you go 0 for 13 on third down, you have something like, what was it? Like 8 it was like 6 or 8 3 and outs.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to keep a defense well rested, especially when that's dealing with injury. That, of course, the run game's going to gas you because eventually you're too tired. The offense has to, even if they don't score, they have to stay on the field longer, give that defense a little bit of time to rest, so that way we can shut down those big run plays.
Yeah, it's just a massive issue, and I think trying to establish the run a little bit more will help, but it's just how much can you change your offensive identity in the middle of the season.
Correct.
But moving on now, Arkansas. Sam Pittman got fired. Notre Dame murdered them 56-13.
Yeah, that was brutal.
CJ Carr, 22 of 30, 354, 4 touchdowns. Jeremiah Love, 14 carries for 57, 2 touchdowns, 5 catches for 70, 2 more touchdowns receiving. Notre Dame just came in mad, and they obliterated the Razorbacks. And Sam Pittman is gone now. I believe just under a $10 million buyout for Pittman to leave Walmartville up there in northwestern Arkansas. And I think that's a good coaching opportunity, because if you come in and Tyson Chicken and Walmart really want to give you money to do what you can, I think it's a place you can succeed
I like Tyson
right
Chicken.
now.
I've had a lot of Tyson Chicken in the last couple of weeks.
Tyson Chicken's great. And Notre Dame, I know this is around the SEC, but Notre Dame's been playing pretty well this season. I think just had the unfortunate privilege, we'll say, of getting Miami and A&M in the first 2 weeks.
Absolutely brutal. It's one of those things where it's one of the few teams that, maybe a controversial take, but I could understand still being ranked after the start that they had, solely because of the quality of their loss, which is something I'll get into when we talk about our SEC rankings. But I have a question for you, Micah. It's, do you see Arkansas making any kind of comeback this season to even like bowl eligibility?
I think they can still get bowl eligible, because this team, you forget they're 2 fumbles away from wins over Ole Miss and Memphis right now. So the talent's there. You know Bobby Petrino is going to have the offense rumbling like a motorcycle out there. And the defense, I think, is the main issue for Arkansas right now. You need to figure out the defense, try to get them fixed. But if the defense can just have some semblance of okayness, I think they maybe make a bowl this year.
All right.
Then finally, for our Week 5 review, it's South Carolina and Kentucky. South Carolina wins 35-13. Dylan Stewart is a freak.
Yeah,
went
he's a monster.
Absolutely insane against the Kentucky offensive line, which is very bad. And then the Kentucky kid that threw the ball at Lenora Sellers' granddad, of all the people to hit.
Come on. Like, you just can't hide that last in the SEC class. But it's just little things that you just like. You talk about like, I know this is a football show, but like stuff like the Ryder Cup, just a lot of fans just being way out of line, I feel like. And it's just, come on.
Yeah, I don't know. First off, I don't think he was trying to throw the ball at the guy based on the way it like kind of slipped out of his hand. I think he was trying to throw it at the ground like people do, but still, that's the disabled seating area for South Carolina, first of all.
So there's not really a fallback there.
Yeah, and then not only did you hit someone in the disabled seating area, you hit the starting quarterback's granddad. Like that could not have gone worse.
He was okay though, right?
He was okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and Lenore Sellers gave him a ball later, so
hopefully like gently and not thrown at him. Okay, just making sure.
But that's really the main storyline from that game, and Dylan Stewart going absolutely crazy. South Carolina gets on the board in SEC play against Kentucky, who is just ready for basketball season at this point.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame them. I mean, they're just bad.
Yeah,
they're just bad.
Pretty bad.
I don't have any other words for it.
That's pretty much all you need for Kentucky right now. But on to SEC power rankings.
Here we go.
We are going to give y'all our 1 through 16 for who we think would beat who on a neutral field. Power rankings. That's how these work.
Thank you for telling me that now.
Yes.
I actually still like my picks. We'll see.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think yours are still fine anyway, but these are how power rankings work. It's who we think wins if they play tomorrow. It's kind of projection for the rest of the year based on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Power rankings, not normal rankings. But we'll start at number 16, and 3, 2, 1, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry.
Brooks didn't say it together, but it's Kentucky for Brooks as well.
Yep.
You can't have them any higher than that. And then number 15, it's Arkansas. Yep. No Sam Pittman. Lots of problems down there.
Just rough right now there in, what do you say, Walmartville?
Yeah, Walmartville, Arkansas. It's rough down there for sure. And then number 14 for me is South Carolina. I think this defense is absolutely atrocious, and I love their quarterback, but also the offense is not really clicking right now. They don't seem to be cohesively doing much of anything. And when your entire team is 2 or 3 good players and Sellers, Kilgore, and Stewart, you just can't win these games, and they're showing it so far. They're finding ways to beat themselves. They're hurting themselves, shooting themselves in the foot. So I can't have them any higher than 14.
Yeah, I have Florida at 14. Honestly, just for the main reason that they kind of strike me as like Auburn, but worse.
Yeah.
Where it's like they have the defense that Auburn has. They have an offense quite similar to Auburn's. In fact, it was like one of those things where when we were talking about going 0 for 13 on third.
Florida did that against Miami.
Exactly, just the week before. So all things considered, Florida has that worse offense. They've got that strong defense, which I will give them, but their offense is just so much more like turnover prone. You talk about, and I think this is personally kind of an issue, but Jackson Arnold hasn't thrown a pick this season. DJ Lagway's multiplied that by an what's the indefinite amount.
He's thrown 5 in one game against LSU.
That's bad.
Yeah,
that's like
and
Peyton
Florida
Thorne
only
didn't
lost
do
that
that
game by 10, by the way, and threw a pick 6.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
it's their defense is really strong, but that LSU win or that LSU loss, looks even worse now that LSU's kind of on fraud watch. Was kind of my opinion on it.
And for those reasons, I have Florida at the lofty heights of number 13.
I have South Carolina. Yeah, we just swapped them.
Florida, like you said, the defense is incredible. I think that's actually a top 3 defense in the country. They've allowed 5 touchdowns this year, and they've played Miami, LSU. They've played good teams. So
5 touchdowns on like I would be impressed if a team allowed 5 touchdowns over 2 games with 5 interceptions.
Yeah,
and they've allowed 5 touchdowns on a season with a single game with 5 interceptions. I'll give them their flowers for that.
Yeah, I think the defense is incredible. The offense loves eating paint, so that is the main issue. And you said South Carolina at 13?
South Carolina at 13. For a lot of the same reasons you said, I'm a little bit lower on Florida than I am on South Carolina. Yeah. I think just because of how turnover prone they've ended up being.
It's fair. They're both struggling a lot. Up at number 12, I have the Auburn Tigers.
I'll join you there.
Yeah, Auburn, we've talked about it ad nauseum. Defense is incredible. Offense really struggles. They don't do what they do best, and that's run the ball. Up at number 11, Mississippi State.
Me too.
For me. Yeah, yep. So a lot of our bottom half is similar here, but it's going to get different as we move up, I promise.
It's going to get interesting. I'm excited.
Yes. Mississippi State, I think we both feel, very underrated team, and we just couldn't put them any higher than this because of how good the top half of this conference is right now. But Mississippi State still definitely a good football team for sure. At number 10 for me is LSU. I talked about this when we were talking about the Ole Miss game. They can't run the ball. You're not going to win if you can't run the ball in the SEC. You're handicapped at coach because Brian Kelly is your coach. That's never a good thing to have.
Ooh, that was a bad interview. You saw that?
Yeah, that was awful.
Wow.
They finally have figured out the defense with Blake Baker, and the offense has nuked itself, and Brian Kelly continues to be what I would call a locker room cancer. So LSU at 10.
Are there any Heisman candidates left, like from the preseason poll, like the preseason Heisman favorites? Are there any of them left that are still pushing? Is it like Sellers? And
I
that's
feel
pretty
like
much it?
Dante Moore was up there.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking only SEC. Goes to show where I'm from.
Yeah.
But yeah, number 10, I have Texas. I was talking about this with you last night. I think they're a really solid defense, kind of like Florida. I think their offense is firing on a few more cylinders than Florida is. I don't think Arch Manning spends a lot of time around the paint can, but at the end of the day, I'm looking at the rest of my list, and though I didn't know that it was who would win in a neutral site, I don't see Texas beating any of the 9 teams above them that we'll talk about here in a moment.
Then up at number 9 for me is Tennessee. This is a team that I really struggled on where to put them because they almost beat Georgia in Neyland, and then they barely beat Mississippi State in Starkville. So you win your home game versus a Georgia team that just lost to Alabama at home. Then you beat Mississippi State on the road, but you turn over the ball a lot. This team is turnover prone so far. The defense gives up points. And for me, I just don't see them beating these teams I have above them for one reason or another. So even though I still think Tennessee's a really good team, I have them at 9.
Yeah, that's fair enough. At number 9, I have LSU. Kind of, again, that same offense nuked itself. Defense is good, but not, I wouldn't say exceptional. I think Brian Kelly is probably not the correct man for the job there at LSU. That's just my personal opinion.
I think Brian Kelly's the correct man for the job anywhere.
Do you?
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, you said you do. I was like,
No.
dang, okay, we can hire him. We'll see what happens.
I don't think he's the correct man for the job anywhere.
Yeah. Any coach that will throw their players like by name under the bus after a loss is just not the kind of coach I want leading my team, and it explains why they've been struggling so much as of late.
All right, the lights are back on, although you won't know that because the other part will be cut. But number 8 for me is Texas, and I think it's the best defense in the country. They showed it against Ohio State. Other than the big play to Carnell Tate, that offense did nothing in the shoe at home against Texas. I think they have some of the best players in the country on that side of the ball. Colin Simmons, Anthony Hill Jr., Michael Taff on the back end, Malik Muhammad at corner. They have so much talent on the defense. And then I think what helps them too is even though Arch Manning isn't who some people expect him to be, Steve Sarkisian can still make that offense go.
Correct.
And this is a team that has really good running backs too. I love C.J. Baxter a ton. I had him on my preseason first-team All-SEC ballot. That's how much I love C.J. Baxter. I think people kind of forgot about him because he missed last year with the ACL injury, but he's back and back in a big way. I really still think this Texas team, if they can just get Arch comfortable, I think they can still definitely make a playoff run. I think they're extremely talented. So Texas at number 8.
Yeah, my number 8, I have Missouri. I love Bo Pribula. You're going to find out a lot more about that later. But I'm looking at the list, and above them, the teams I've got. I mean, you can do process of elimination. There's some pretty solid teams above them. Maybe it's my 2013 SEC championship bias, but I don't see them beating Auburn.
I do.
Much less any of the teams above them. Maybe that's just me.
Listen, you look at. I'll talk about this when we get to Missouri. Well, I'll talk about that later, but. Moving up to number 7, I have Oklahoma, and this is John Mateer-less Oklahoma. Because
Correct.
This is how power ratings work. Now, if this was in SEC rankings, I would have Oklahoma right near the top because they deserve to be at the top. But for power ratings with no John Mateer, Oklahoma sits at 7 for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the outlook is significantly less with no John Mateer, and it's going to be tough for them. However, this defense is nasty. R. Mason Thomas off the edge is an incredible player. This interior defensive line is amazing. I love the linebackers. Brent Venables has this defense absolutely humming. They have good receiver talent. What I'm concerned about is Mateer has been their leading rusher in every game that he has played.
Mm-hmm.
You need to find a better running game, and I still think your defense is good enough to compete with a lot of these teams, but for right now, I can't have them higher than 7.
Yeah, for me at number 7, I have Vanderbilt. Which, by the way, if you had told me at the beginning of last year that Vanderbilt would be a legitimate threat to the SEC, I would have laughed in your face. Diego Pavia, I'm very far from his biggest fan, as well as the rest of that Vanderbilt team. But at the end of the day, they put together a really good product. And I think they could take on most teams. I mean, I like them against teams like Missouri. I like them against teams like LSU. I think they are a really scary team. And being at a neutral site helps because they don't have to play in their high school stadium.
Construction stadium. Up to number 6 for me, it's Missouri. I plain and simply think this is the best rushing attack in the country.
Yeah.
Ahmad Hardy is incredible. Jamal Roberts right behind him is not too far off. Bo Prabula can run the ball extremely effectively. And you mentioned, can this team beat Auburn and Jordan Hare? If the Auburn offense plays like it is and you give Missouri that much time of possession, they will run for 350.
I was assuming, Xavier Chaplin-less Auburn.
They are... They will absolutely kill you if your run defense plays like it did against A&M. I fully believe this is the best rushing attack in the country. Ahmad Hardy deserves to be in the Heisman conversation. He is incredible. I wanted him to come to Auburn extremely badly last year, leaving ULM, but Missouri got him in the portal, and all the better for them because they look amazing with him. And then this defense has also been great too. They're just playing good football, and I think because of that, they deserve to be up at number 6.
Yeah, my number 6, Oklahoma. Obviously, this is a John Materialist Oklahoma, but I still like them against teams like Vandy and Missouri. You talk about that Missouri rushing attack. I think Oklahoma stomps that into the dirt. Genuinely, I think R. Mason Thomas is just an absolute generational talent coming off the defensive line. I think that regardless of who is in the quarterback seat at Oklahoma, that offense is going to thrive. I think it's a really solid team. You can argue that they were bailed out with penalties against Auburn, but at the end of the day, they got home on Jackson Arnold 10 times.
Yeah.
And that's an offensive line that struggles, but is still pretty talented if you could take away their penalties and stuff. But I really do like this Oklahoma team, and I hate to say it, but I think they're a really, really solid team. And I like them against Texas in the Red River rivalry as well.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with them on Red River for that, for sure. Up into the top 5 now. For number 5 for me is Georgia. I'm not sure how to feel about this Georgia team because sometimes you get the version of Georgia that went into Neyland and won, and sometimes you get the version of Georgia that you get versus Alabama. And I'm worried that if they get into a shootout, Gunnar Stockton can't do enough to keep them up in that shootout. And you look at these teams ahead of them. One, I can't put them higher than Alabama, obviously, because they can never beat Alabama at all. And I look at these 4 teams I have ahead of them, and I say, can these offenses all put up big points on Georgia? And for the most part, I would say yes, because this Georgia defense has been susceptible this year. And so I think that combined with what I've seen from them so far on offense, I'm not completely sold. I still think they're a very good team. I would expect them to probably still be a playoff team, but I can't put them any higher than this right now.
Yeah, number 5, I got Tennessee. It's a tough one for me, especially with these next 3. I won't spoil my order, but it's that Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, the 3 of them. But for Tennessee being at number 5 below Alabama and Georgia, my main logic is just you lose to Georgia, and it was an overtime thriller, and it was a fantastic game. It's a quality loss, but at the end of the day, I still think Georgia beats them every single time they play in any stadium. And Alabama over them as well. It's hard. A lot of these games are toss-ups. Like I'd give the game a 1.5 point line to Alabama. But at the end of the day, I think you had Ty Simpson's a field general. I think he shines through against that Tennessee defense, and the rest would be history.
Would indeed. I'm very curious to see how a Tennessee-Alabama game will go.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be fun for sure. Up at number 4, I have Texas A&M. I think that this team is a bit hit or miss. You saw against Auburn the miss version of this team, where they can struggle to move the ball effectively. However, the defense still is great. Will Lee is one of the best corners in the country. Cassius Howell is a monster off the edge, absolutely freak athlete. And then these linebackers play good, disciplined football. I can't put them above my top 3, who you've seen or figured out probably who they are by now. But A&M, this doesn't feel like the same A&M under Mike Elko. This doesn't feel like 8-4 every year A&M, because I was listening to Josh Pate the other day talk about this, and he said he had an A&M fan contact him and say, hey, in the past we lose that game versus Auburn. And I think he's right. I think especially Jimbo Fisher A&M, that's a game you find a way to lose. And Texas A&M now, you saw the grit to just keep playing, keep forcing stops, keep sacking Jackson Arnold, keep that offense in check. And so you can win that game. You can go to South Bend and win 41-40. I think that's a very, very good team that can do both of those things. A&M for me at 4.
Yeah, I got Alabama at number 4. That FSU loss looked strong for a while, and it's looking a little bit weaker now after FSU's recent loss. But at the end of the day, I think DeBoer has this team trending in the correct direction. You take record out of the equation, just kind of eye test it. I think that genuinely Alabama, like we said, it'll be a great game to see. I can't wait. I'm giving them probably, again, a 1.5, 2.5 point edge, but I think they would take down a team like Tennessee or Oklahoma even. Maybe not with John Mateer, but that's why they're down there without John Mateer. But I like Alabama in my rankings, not in general, just to be clear. Like I said, I think Kalen DeBoer has figured out kind of where the handle is on this team. It took them a minute to figure it out, but they're trending in the right direction. I think they'll continue moving up the ratings.
Number 3 for me is Alabama. I think that they just beat Georgia, so you'd have to be an insane person to have them below Georgia.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. Who would ever do that?
Yeah, we'll talk about that in 30 seconds here. But they went into Georgia Stadium and beat them. And I know the FSU loss is the FSU loss, but still, this team I think I would take to beat all these other teams on a neutral field right now, mainly because they just play good football.
Mm-hmm.
They play well. And I know they got kind of dominated physically versus Florida State. I think that's the way they're susceptible. I would say of any team below them, the team I would pick to beat Alabama first is Missouri because of their rushing attack, which might sound crazy, but I think that's where they're vulnerable. So I think outside of that, though, they're such a complete team, and I've really enjoyed watching them play football this season. They play good football, and I feel like you don't really need a ton more than that right now to be up as high as they are. Great Georgia win, Alabama number 3.
Yeah. So like we said, it would take an absolute crazy person to put Georgia above Alabama in the power rankings. At number 3, I have Georgia above Alabama in my power rankings.
I need to hear the rationale for this.
They got punched in the mouth.
Yeah, they did.
Everybody's got a plan until they got punched in the mouth. I think they came into this Alabama game thinking that this team lost to FSU, and FSU is not that great of a team. This is going to be easy. They couldn't get, they started off so unbelievably slow that I genuinely think they weren't prepared for what Alabama genuinely had to offer. If that game was played again this Saturday on a neutral field, I think Georgia takes it.
No way. Alabama wins that game again. If Georgia can't win it at night at home, you have
we'll
no
probably
prayer.
See it in the SEC championship or
That's
something.
True.
So
yeah.
clip that. We'll clip that for later.
It'll be another year of the craziest SEC. Oh, it's Georgia and Alabama.
Oh
in
my!
Atlanta.
Somehow.
Yeah, but up to number 2, it's the Vanderbilt Commodores.
What?
And if you would have told me this, like you said at the beginning of last year, I would have said you've lost your mind.
And I'm crazy for Georgia at 3. Okay.
Vanderbilt at number 2. What more do you want them to do? They go to Blacksburg. They beat Virginia Tech by 20+. They go to Columbia. They beat South Carolina by 20+. I know Sellers got hurt in that game. I don't care. They're murdering everybody. That's all you can do. They are absolutely beating the heck out of every team that they play. And what stands out to me, too, is the reason I have them above Alabama, and we'll talk about this more for this game prediction. What did I say Alabama's main weakness was? It's power run. Mm-hmm. They give up run. Guess what Vanderbilt loves doing?
Run the ball straight down the middle.
Run the ball. And I think that in this version of the SEC we have this year, that power run, that relentless, merciless attitude that Vanderbilt now carries themselves with into these games.
Which is weird.
Which is a wild sentence.
It's weird.
I think they deserve this spot. I absolutely believe in Vanderbilt this year. I think Clark Lee has done an amazing job in Nashville. And as crazy as it may seem, Vanderbilt at number 2 in the SEC power rankings.
More power to you, man. I got Texas A&M at my number 2. I think, like you said, they're very hit or miss, but you put them up against a team like Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, and not some borderline bottom feeder like Auburn. Let's call it how it is. I think they come in a lot more prepared. I think they play the game a lot differently. We talk about these are about who would win at a neutral site. I'm thinking less about how they have played and more about how they would prepare and how they would be, how the mentality would be coming into the game. That's why I have Georgia above Alabama. I think the mentality is so different now that they've been punched in the mouth. So Texas A&M at 2, I think they're a scary team when they're firing on all cylinders, and they can. You put them up against a team that's really good, like Notre Dame. Their ranking doesn't reflect how good they are because their schedule they got kicked in the teeth week 1. So did Texas.
Yeah.
But those teams are so good that the fact that A&M is able to put up 40 plus on a defense like Notre Dame and take it down, that's more than enough for me. And I think it kind of washes a little bit with the Auburn loss because – or sorry, with the narrow-ish win at Auburn, because realistically, Xavier Atkins doesn't get that pick. Auburn loses by 20.
Yeah.
Number 1.
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
It has to be Ole Miss. The fighting Trinidad Chamblises.
It's so weird.
They're going crazy. And I think you put Ole Miss on the field right now with any other team in the SEC, with the way Lane Kiffin has this offense humming. The defense has been suffocating so far this year. Give me Ole Miss.
Yeah, I don't have – I mean, seriously, it's like we said before. I would kill for a coach that can just say, you're a Heisman candidate now.
Yeah.
And just put together a team that, kind of like you said, takes down everybody in their path with Vanderbilt. They're relentless, and I love that about Lane Kiffin and his team, and I'm also not convinced he didn't send his daughter to download those plays, but we're not going there right now.
But those are your SEC power rankings for this week. And now we're going to move into our top 5 SEC quarterbacks as of right now. And yes, John Mateer did qualify for this list because even though he's hurt, he's still an SEC quarterback. So he'll be coming back this year. I think if he would have been out for the remainder of the year, we wouldn't have put him on here. But since he's coming back, he's on the list. We're going to start at number 5. And for me, it's Trinidad Chambliss. He's looked great so far. I think there is a thing in football where once you get enough tape of someone, you start to improve on how you defend them. So if Trinidad Chambliss is still playing like this in a month, he might be in my number 1 spot. But right now, I think it's still so new. There's still not a ton of tape. He's number 5 for me.
Yeah, I don't blame you for that. My number 5 is Bo Pribula over at Missouri. I mean, I think, yes, he's got a very strong rushing attack, but it's enabled him to just be such a great passer and such a great playmaker. 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. He would not be on my list if he had 3 touchdowns. And he's also
Hardy has 8,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But also he does have 3 touchdowns with his legs, so a little Freudian slip there, I guess. But just really good at making plays happen. That Missouri team, like you said, is really scary looking. I like him as probably not. I don't know if he'll stay that way. It's a long season, but as it stands right now, I got Bo Pribula at my number 5.
I'd keep Pribula in my top 10. He's not top 5 for me. He's not done enough throwing the ball, which I think is important.
That's fair enough.
At the quarterback position. Number 4 for me, Ty Simpson. He, like we talked about earlier, elite field general at this point in the year. He's looked great and just a quarterback's quarterback so far this year, Ty Simpson.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that Alabama offense is just so unbelievably scary looking, and you'll notice that I don't know what I was going with there. I was gonna make some goofy reference, but yeah, no, he's got that. Him and DeBoer seem to have figured it out. I think part of that FSU loss was just the lights were bright. You know, he's a brand new Alabama quarterback in an era where Alabama quarterbacks almost always go to the pros. He walks into Florida State. You got a gazillion fans out there chopping at you. You've never seen a team this physical. You've never really had any type of college football like game. He's been only at Alabama these past few years, and I think he's really learned from guys like Jalen Milroe, and obviously from his quarterbacks coaching, and Kalen DeBoer is doing a great job. I genuinely think that if he keeps at this pace, he'll be top 3 for Heisman, but right now I've got him at number 4.
Well, I have Diego Pavia at number 3. I think he is, I know it's kind of just a cliche at this point, dude's a dog.
I hate him, but he's so good.
I like him. I respect the swagger to Vandy.
He feels like a knockoff Johnny Manziel to me.
Nah.
Just a little bit. You see his locker is in the middle of the locker room by itself.
I personally thought that was odd, and then every football player I've seen talking about it is like, no, if our guy did that with the program, I wouldn't even mind, and he can look at everyone at once or whatever. So if the actual football
look at everyone at once.
I don't know. To me, it seemed odd, but if the actual football players are saying it doesn't seem weird to them and they'd be cool with it, I'm going to choose to be cool with it too.
Yeah. So, Pavia is my number 3 as well, like we said. Any quarterback who's, trying to push for a 6th, 7th year of eligibility.
Oh, what?
6th, 7th year of eligibility. No, but
we've lost the plot.
We have completely lost the plot. But That's at a certain point, I'm like, yeah, I would rather you be a backup in the NFL. But because you have this much experience and you are a pretty solid quarterback, you're in the Heisman rankings, but you are older than everybody else.
He's 24 right now is Diego Pavia. At number 2 for me, it's Lenore Sellers. And I know South Carolina's really struggled. However, Lenore Sellers has the best sack avoidance of any quarterback I've ever seen on tape. When he needs to make big throws down the field, he's proven the ability to make those throws. Sometimes his receivers drop those throws. He can run at an elite level, and he's playing behind an offensive line made of broken Post-it notes. So I think for how well he is doing in the environment that he's put in, when he's also been playing injured, still deserves number 2 spot.
So what I'm hearing is he'd be a great transfer to Auburn in the offseason.
We could get him sacked 80 times a year.
Hey, you said his offensive line was broken glass. It can't be that. We just play with 4 offensive linemen.
Actually, Lenore Sellers at Auburn would be great because you can't get sacked if you play like Lenore Sellers plays, which is I don't know how it looks like he's doing weird gymnastics back there in the pocket to not get sacked.
Yeah.
And he just somehow never goes down. It's incredible.
Yeah, I kind of feel, I think, a little bit about Lenore Sellers like you feel about Bo Pribula. Definitely a top 10, but just not really cracking my top 5. Number 2, I got Trinidad. I mean, come on. I absolutely adore watching this kid play. I think he's taking this Ole Miss team to just absolutely insane heights. I think he really could be on the final Heisman ballot when that time comes.
Wouldn't that be crazy? You go from winning 14 games in a row, winning the D2 championship, transfer, win the Heisman.
You know what it feels like? You ever do like the Road to Glory in NCAA 25 where you start at like James Madison and you like go to the playoff and you transfer to like Georgia.
Win the Sun Belt with Troy. And
exactly. Yes. I feel like he's living a real life NCAA Road to Glory. And I think he's on top of that, just a really solid quarterback. So for that reason, I have a number 2. And then number 1 for both of us is a healthy John Mateer. But
when you lead your team in rushing and you're also a top 5 quarterback, you have to be number 1.
And he doesn't have a terrible touchdown to interception ratio either.
No, he doesn't. He's been playing very well.
I remember I was scouting him for the Auburn game, and some analysts talking about, like, yeah, he'll risk interceptions in the name of big plays. But I didn't see any of that against Auburn.
He did it a lot at Washington State last year.
Okay.
Because the talent around him was worse than what he has now. So he played a lot more hero ball at Washington State than what you've seen at Oklahoma this year.
That makes sense.
And I think the big part is, 1, he still has the same offensive coordinator in Ben Arbuckle, which is huge. And then he's really been able to tamp down the mistakes because the offense can still run if he just plays great instead of hero level.
Yeah.
And so it's been working just fine for him. But those are our top 5 SEC quarterbacks as of right now. And now 4 games to pick this week, starting off with Vanderbilt at Alabama. Give me your pick.
I got Alabama. I get it. Vanderbilt is a relentless team, but I think DeBoer has kicked his team into the correct mindset. And I really think once that Alabama team gets rolling, especially with a guy like Ty Simpson, there's not a whole lot that can stop them on either side of the ball.
Diego Pavia is undefeated versus the state of Alabama as a college quarterback.
Yeah, but half of those wins are against Auburn, so they don't count.
Alabama massively struggles to defend power run. Vanderbilt loves power run. Cedric Alexander, along with Diego Pavia, both can run the ball extremely effectively. Alabama this year has not been the best at covering tight ends. Eli Stowers is one of the best tight ends in the country for Vanderbilt. I think this is a team that is almost tailor-made to beat the way Alabama plays defense, and I think they're going to be able to do it. Give me Vanderbilt over Alabama.
We need to clip this, and one of us is going to send it to the other when Vanderbilt either has like 300 rushing yards or 20. Yeah.
Next up in the battle of, oh my gosh, what is the offense doing? It's number 9 Texas at Florida this weekend.
The battle of watching paint dry.
Yes, and I have Texas in this one. I think both of these defenses are going to be playing out of their mind, especially the Florida defense in the swamp. They're going to be going crazy. The problem for Florida is Texas is the best defense in the country, and Florida has Billy Napier calling the plays. And
that's a problem.
That is a huge issue for the Gators. So give me Texas 10-2 or something like that.
10-2 is crazy. Yeah, I got Texas as well. I mean, I described them earlier on this show as a kind of a Florida, but with a little bit better defense and offense. I think we'd be remiss not to take them in this one. I think Arch Manning, though not maybe the Heisman kind of blowout winner that we expected him to be, or that some of the media expected him to be early on in the season, he's going to be good enough. And that, like you said, Sarkisian can keep that offense moving. I think a big part of this matchup is the coaches. You have Steve Sarkisian, who's just an absolute legend, can really play through anything, and Billy Napier, who was also there.
Yeah,
so
pretty much. Yeah.
Give me Texas with a final score of probably 3-0 or something.
Yeah, it's gonna be a disaster, but it's gonna be a fun disaster to watch. Next up, Mississippi State at number 6, Texas A&M in the battle of maroon teams. College Station again will be bumping this weekend, and as much as I love Mississippi State, I'm going to take Texas A&M in this one. I think maybe the difference here is you saw that Auburn could hang with A&M. Mississippi State doesn't have that level of defense, but they do have a coach who knows their running back is the best player and will run the ball. So I think Mississippi State can keep it close enough with the run game. I just think Texas A&M is too good. I think they'll be back on their A game this week, giving the Aggies.
Yeah, in my notes, I literally have it where it says it breaks my heart, but I have to take Texas A&M. I absolutely love Mississippi State. I've said it a million times, but here's what I'll give Mississippi State. If A&M plays them like they played us, Mississippi State walks away with an easy win. Maybe not an easy win, but they walk away with a pretty convincing win. But if Texas A&M really starts firing on all or even most cylinders, I don't think Mississippi State has much of a prayer. So yeah, give me Texas A&M.
And then in the nail biter of the week,
I took a long time to decide this one.
Number 12 Georgia hosting Kentucky. Give me Georgia by 30,000 in this one. You have a mad Kirby Smart against Kentucky. And I know Kentucky's played Georgia close in the past, not this year. Georgia murders Kentucky on Saturday.
Yeah, like I said, I took a really long time to decide this one. Really, when I look at both teams, I realize that one is really good and one really sucks.
That's good analysis here. This is what we can bring you guys.
And that's Kentucky that really sucks, just for reference.
Oh man, I got that backwards.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes it's a little bit confusing. You go check my power rankings again, you'll understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, give me Georgia by twice whatever the line is.
Okay, here's a fun question. Who do you think wins this game if the first half is a half of football and the second half is a half of basketball, but the touchdowns are weighted the same as like basketball, or like the points are weighted to where it would make sense?
If the points were weighted to where it would make sense, I think I still have Georgia. They're a pretty solid basketball team every year. Kentucky is legit, but I think Georgia's football team blows out Kentucky's football team, and Georgia's football team can keep it.
Or basketball team.
That's what I mean. Yeah, their basketball team can keep it kind of within striking distance a little bit on that Kentucky basketball team. So I think if all are weighted the same and it's like percentage you beat them by, I think Georgia still takes it, but it'll be closer than it will be in the football game.
So Kentucky fans, you have that to look forward to, but maybe don't watch football. It's not a good viewing experience. But that is it for our first episode of Around the SEC in 2025. Happy to be back. Got the new studio set up, so a bit of an upgrade from last year. Happy you guys could tune in for those of you that have watched. For Brooks Crew, I'm Micah Farmer. We'll see you guys again right back here next week.